but surely getting confident every second that he is in. The goal for Wake Forest being a starter now. As Wake Forest in all white, Lipscomb in all black. And we are underway. As Jeffrey White eyeing Chandler Young. Brian, he gets a start. The freshman came over from New York, then went to Charlotte FC Academy. Was a big recruit brought in. And Wake Forest coach Muse talked to him yesterday with a lot of his talent on the bench and on the field. He's tinkering kind of with his lineup still.
And that's what you want to do this time of year. You're getting ready for the rigors of conference play. There's no rigors like the ACC, and so you want to see what you have in everybody. And just a second lineup change all year for Wake Forest.
Chandler Young sliding it back to Sarajan. Is Escribano sending it, clipped in, and an easy bounce picked up by Cara. Alex Cara, the goalkeeper. It was a transfer from Indiana. Lobbed over the top is Travis Smith Jr. playing the center back. 5 players on Lipscomb from Travis Smith Jr.'s hometown, Louisville. It's dangerous. Bednard didn't seem bothered by it with the pressure coming in by Lipscomb.
You're going to see two teams that want to kind of keep possession, but obviously it's going to be Wake that's going to have the most of that.
Levi Jones there in the center of the pitch. Sliding it to Brian. Now they'll work on the right channel. Levi Jones lurking, sitting there close to the 12 spot. That's the good thing about being small attackers. You can kind of hide.
And that's
you drift, and then the center backs like you forget where we are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you want to do. You used the word buzzing earlier. You want to buzz around and make it hard on them.
Bryant back to 100%. Coming in a very, very good attacker. And Bryant may have a chance here. Slides it over the left. Nice feint there for Hanlon. And tracked down by Thomas. Thomas invites that type of matchup. Sometimes I wonder if he gives the opponent a little bit extra space just to see if he could track it down.
Yeah, in basketball we call a gamer, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what he is.
Lonnie Thomas on the ball. See if Chandler Young can spring loose. Play back to Carr with Chandler Young pressuring. Good pressure. Sometimes, striker, you'd say, why would I waste my energy there? But little things like that, Brian, they go a long way later in the match.
Hey, look at it right here. That's exactly what you want to test the goalkeeper too. You want to see if they're good with their feet or if we can make something happen, and that's exactly what you would want from a freshman. We saw he's listed as the 164 best freshman. I'd love to see who the other 160 are, because he's a very good player.
I'd love to see the ranking.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and that's nothing against the ranking. There's so many good soccer players, but he's a very good young player.
Wake Forest bringing in the 10th ranked recruiting class. Again, I don't know how you rank them, but
so
it's
hard.
Year in and year out. Wake Forest will bring in a top 10 recruiting class.
And it's getting harder and harder every year with the transfer portal and everything else, and especially the internationals. It's really hard to gauge what that looks like, but you're right. They're always going to be right there.
Another thing that's hard to do these days, I mentioned it on the broadcast. I spoke to Coach Muse about it, but it was the fact that they didn't lose any players in the transfer. And that is, we're trying to track down how many teams didn't lose a player in the transfer portal. Hard to find that kind of data, but very, very few, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it may be a category of one, to be very honest with you. It is very, very impressive. You look at Coach Muse.
Good diagonal ball. Who's there? Just a little out of the way. Amani Thomas drills it, trying to go low left.
A really good half chance right there for Wake Forest. Kind of came out of nowhere, and that's why I called it a half chance. beautiful ball. Nobody there, but Thomas comes through. That's why we put him in the outset. Has that ability and takes a good crack at it right there.
Amani Thomas had a delicious ball against St. John's. It was a half volley. Maybe you would say had that shooter face a little too much. He kind of got maybe reprimanded after the game. But if you look at the ball, and if you're Amani Thomas, you have to take it. He just couldn't quite get it on the laces. That one, he was making sure that he was locked in.
Yeah, sometimes those eyes just get too big.
Yeah. Sarajan, and they got twirled around. Referees whistle silent. It's Iceland Pexidar is the center referee. Richard Wells, Adonis Alawar, and Luis Pinares. Deacons with back-to-back shutouts. Wanted a W on Sunday night, still got the shutout. They talked about after the match, you could see it almost seemed as if that was a loss, but Coach Buse kind of brought their spirits back up and said, you know, guys, look, we got a shutout against a very good St. John's team. We got back-to-back shutouts and something to build, and you know, we haven't lost.
That's so big. We talked about it earlier with getting ready for, as you look at Coach Muse again, what he's done. Nobody's done more in college soccer over the last 15 years than what Wake Forest done in college soccer. And, you know, it just speaks to the level they continue to be at. And that's hard. You know, you can have, you know, you look at that 359 wins since 2000, 154 wins. I mean, I don't even have to talk about it. That speaks for itself.
Well, he's averaging slightly over 15 wins a season.
It's unreal in today's college game.
But if you talk to him, you think that he has like a mediocre team. He's always, you know, we got it.
That's why he's successful, though, because, I mean, you know, we always joke about it when people talk about Saban and the process, but that's what it is. Because if you ever let yourself think you're great, then you're not going to be.
That's true. I wonder, I asked him if he would be satisfied, say, if he did hoist the cup at the end of the year in December. If I asked him, was he satisfied? He couldn't answer if he would be actually satisfied.
I'd be calling a recruit after that and getting on the phone.
Well played by Jeffrey White, and Sarajan lurking, heading it down, deflected out of bounds. Good link up there. As that says, Sarajan just kind of timing, and then he explodes, gets into space. Not quite the torque that he wanted, but still, that's a very good delivery by White. Good link up.
Yeah, nothing really to trouble Cara, but other than, because you mentioned it, you couldn't get enough torque on that shot. You couldn't get enough on that header, but a beautiful ball played it. If you would put a little more spin on it, maybe, but that's really hard to do.
Wake Forest with the first corner of the evening. The short option is Flax trying to carve his way back into the 18. Cut out. Perez. He can gun it from there. Left foot and just over the bar. Kind of sliding, though. Not quite as balanced as Perez usually likes, if you will.
Yeah, it was that slip. I mean, he actually lined it up well, but that slip kind of made the difference.
It was a deflection, too. That's still...
We have the benefit of replay, though.
Yes, we do. We do.
Definitely with Wake Forest with the run and play, excuse me,
no,
right now.
I was mentioning is, see this front line trying to dare Lipscomb to play out the back. They want to make it uneasy. This year they have been, they're just something more about a bite to them with their press. This is a little bit too far out in front, even for the speed of Jeffrey White. But it's something that they've always done, right? But Brian, they just have like more of a pride to it. Once you can hear it in training where they're yelling and charging, and it's intimidating. I mean, if I was a opponent.
Yeah, and it's all about the players a lot of times, and that's exactly what I was going to say. If you hear an opponent was to hear that, be like, that's what Wake Forest does.
Yeah.
But when you got players that can do that even better, it looks that more proficient, and that's what Wake Forest has this year.
Sullivan getting the start. He's been inserted in the lineup. Kruger trying to get back to 100%. There's a no look. Chandler Young across. Cooper Flax just a hair behind, but Wake Forest back into the attacking third. Umar, he's a creator and just cannot find that angle.
I was surprised he was able to keep that in, to be honest with you. But good job trying to make something out of nothing.
Just when you think you have him pinned, he'll slip out.
Definitely making it dangerous. And you mentioned that what they do with this press, that's making it hard because they're going so good offensively. But when you counterattack, this can happen as well.
Bryant trying to get clever. This 1v1 against Bednard. Oh, how close was that? You talk about how dangerous the counter and how dangerous Lipscomb is with their attackers. And that almost showed itself right there.
Yeah, that's tough because he had to go at full stretch as you see it again. But that's definitely one he's going to be dreaming about tonight because you remember more of the misses. But that was a golden opportunity for Lipscomb.
Brian, who played at Maryville College before transferring to Lipscomb. He was among the Collegiate Conference of the South scoring leaders all season in 2022. He finished the regular season with 10 goals in 17 matches. And now playing at Lipscomb is Chandler Young, freshman. Double team there, hard to get out of that one. Wake Forest keeping it down here with another corner. After kind of owning the first 10 minutes of this match, a counter almost turned out to be very, very costly for Wake Forest. They dodged the bullet, and here they are with a corner.
Yeah, that's why they call it a counterattack, because they ran it beautifully in that situation. We were praising Wake Forest, and they hit the execution well.
So Flax will take it. Bunches of targets there, heading, and just, again, not enough of that hammer down to make it at least a test for Kara in the net. But still, I as much as I love set pieces and corners, I thought that was well designed. The movement, chaos, and everything.
Beautifully designed. It is such an art form. There's a reason the national team has a set piece coordinator. You know, it is an art form, and Wake Forest does a great job with it.
Bassett Umar. Green was there on his back heel, and Bassett Umar being Houdini, finding his way out of it. Is Sarajan tries a shot, hit the side net, just on the wrong side. Lipscomb, their reign on top of the A-Sun, didn't have the year they wanted last year, but Brian, this team, I was very impressed with watching their last two matches. There's Coach Morrow in his 21st season. Last year, of course, you want to wipe that away. And sometimes that turns out to be a blessing in disguise because that kind of haunts you but gives you a chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, and it's by design. So I was talking to Coach Morrow today. They're young. You know, you just don't replace two top 10 players. As I mentioned at the start of this broadcast, you know, Wake Forest, that, you know, as good as they've been, it's hard to say that, you know, I mean, so it shows the level they've been at and they continue to be at. And I think he's enjoying building again. He loves these challenges. And same thing that Wake Forest saying by scheduling a team like Lipscomb, you're doing the same thing on your end because you want to play teams like Wake Forest to get better for conference play.
Those teams he had 2021, 2022,
yeah,
2023.
Unbelievable.
Coach Morrow actually started with his first head coaching job at Belmont Ivy, not too far from here in Belmont, North Carolina, April of 2003. Now he's at Lipscomb.
Too long ago. I was playing then still in college soccer. I was in that conference then, you know, like just tells you how long he's been doing. I say that I'm 44. I say that to say that's the longevity and success he's had.
And we talked about the opening with Lipscomb in the super drafts. It was Tyrese Spicer and Malachi Jones, the brother of Levi Jones. Got to see him this year, actually. live on hand. Of course, Malachi was the number 8 overall pick by New York City Football Club. Another selection to NYCFC, and I think is here. It's Prince Impanza. Must have the weekend off. Oh, good dummy. Chandler Young. Oh, he's cocking back that left foot to drive it, and that's just fantastic defense by Lipscomb.
Beautifully done. You can see that's why they got so excited. Watch this here. What a flick. Has that room. Think he has that opening, but you live for those moments as a center back, and Caleb Davis was just beautiful execution all the way around.
Yeah, his first step, trying to close down that angle. You know how imperative it is. And Chandler Young, obviously, freshman. Caleb Davis is not going to let him have.
No, not at all. But like I said, that outstretch, just getting that's your goal, right? Meaning, like, if you score a goal on the other and you get excited, for a center back, doing that is the goal.
Lipscomb 1-1-1. Their loss was to USF, which it was 1-1 at the break, and then a red card the closing seconds of the first half. Of press made it uneasy for Cara. Chandler Young,
big mistake right there.
The 2-0 victory over Mercer, and we know how Mercer's always a threat to SoCon. I was talking to Lipscomb's SID, and you could see when you know soccer and what it's supposed to look like, pinging the ball together, the product's there on the field. This is that press. That Cara, you know, Chandler Young must have looked at some more tape on Cara, because he is making him uncomfortable. He's not letting up on that press. White, half turn, clipped over the top. Amadi Thomas trying to run on. Well cut out by the Bisons. Yeah, North Florida just got a big victory last night, which is an ace on Jacksonville, the Dolphins. A good conference.
It's a good league, a very good league, some very good programs, and you know, Lipscomb's been leading that way for a while, but there are very many programs, and you know, that can say that. And mid-major soccer in general, you mentioned the SoCon with UNCG, Furman, you know, in the Big South, High Point, Gardner Webb, all they did is beat West Virginia the other day. So really good soccer all the way around, particularly here in the Southeast.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a fluke,
no.
Gardner Webb. I mean, they were in command. It wasn't one of those, you know, we just played tight and then got a lucky goal. They came out to play and be dominant.
And they won the game, and they did the same against West of James Madison game for them as well. Same thing, you know, in James Madison, we know what they've done over the last few years. We have an injured player, but just they went out and took the game.
Scott,
blew a tire. Well, sorry, look at that. I thought he got hurt and blew the tire.
I did text head coach at Gardner Webb, Scott Wells. It was kind of late, but that's when I got the ping that they beat West Virginia, and all I could say was, wow. And congratulations, coach.
Yeah.
And as always, he always responds back. It's just a class act.
Yeah, for sure. He's done an amazing job winning the league in just 2 years there, and just a really great coach. One of many, again, great coaches, young coaches in the Southeast and in mid-major levels that are going to be in the ACC and places like that very soon.
Well, when he went from UNCG as an assistant to Gardner Webb, he couldn't turn that down. I knew he was going to make noise, right? I just didn't know it was going to be like this, like where he's ranked.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, he'd come in, make some people turn their heads. Hey, well, Gardner Webb maybe, but I mean, they knocked off Oregon State in the NCAA tournament. What they did now, and just continuing to be the top 25 team. With High Point also is also off to a great start. Those teams met on the Big South Championship. That flag goes up as Bassett Umar got a little too anxious.
Not a bad idea, though. Right look just ahead of it a little bit. But good job by Lipscomb holding their line in the same breath.
Good aerial duel won by Travis Smith Jr. into the center pocket to Cooper Flax. Laid up perfectly. Chandler Young's there. Side call on Chandler Young. Looked as if that through ball was through. Brian, you know, sometimes I got to get the bigger picture. Maybe he started off in offside position.
Yeah,
Looked like he poked it and he left. Apparently our better angle said he was way off.
I thought the same thing, but you know, we see the through ball and
right.
we look up because we're watching the play. But yeah, definitely after looking at it, he was offsides. But you can see why he got the start. He's being pretty out there and getting into it pretty quickly and making a name for himself.
Levi Jones, that actually turned out to be a fortuitous touch up ahead for Brian there. It's an interesting matchup. That's a yank. That's a... All right, what am I missing there, Brian? Because it looked as if, you know, straight pulled. They must have had some tugging before.
Yeah, it was tugging. He was trying to get positioning. He held on to him a little bit. That's what the call was, at least on Furyk. He said he got too much of him himself. That's what he was arguing. It was normal soccer stuff, but just maybe got a little bit too much arm into him.
It's a switch from the overload. The right channel settled nicely. 24 minutes remaining. We still sit 0-0. Forest.
Yeah, it was interesting. I said it was Furyk was actually straight, and because Furyk was walking away, but I think that could have gone either way. It's kind of like a hold in football, right? A lot of times where
it actually reminded me of Julius Hodge holding on to Chris Paul's finger.
There's a memory.
Bassett Omar outside of his foot to the left. Chandler Young. Sarajan hanging around. Flax up ahead. Jeffrey White sliding. Flax. Here's Perez. What a bullet, and even a better save by Cara. How did he see it? It looked like a stone, but Cara was on it, able to keep it out of the net.
Talked about making sure you get over the ball and getting a clean strike, and that's the embodiment of a clean strike, but just a beautiful save from Cara as well. He's been good tonight, Cara, so far.
He really has. White. Backspin. Ushered back Travis Smith into the attack. Escribano thought about it. Escribano had a heck of a game against St. John's. Trying to get back to 100%. I actually talked to him after the match, and that's something that's overlooked. You know, you have an injury like he had last year, and it's going to take a while mentally to get back 100%. You might be physically there, but, you know, it's these quick flashbacks that you'll have that will rattle you, and you have to find a way to kind of overcome it. And it's tough, even for the best players in the planet. It's hard. And Escribano, I think he's going that mentally trying to get back after that terrible injury he had last year.
It takes time. You know, I've had multiple injuries like that, ankles, knees, and you just got to learn to trust it and trust your body, and that takes time. So, as we're going to have another half chance right here.
Brian getting away, and the flag goes up on the offside call. Yeah, I remember back in my day where it would have an injury, and then if it was a 50-50 ball, that's the first thing you think of, how you injured yourself, you know, 2 years prior. And you remember that the bang where you actually, like, you played too, so you know that actually feel like there's an actual bang of light once you get hit, right?
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of times it's not the big bang play that hurts you. It's, you know, like sometimes, like I tore my knee up one time just stepping wrong.
Yep.
But it was because all the other factors were playing into that. You know, I was out for a long time after it, but it was just stepping wrong and then accumulation of things. And we see some subs coming in for the first time.
It's all like just a shift of weight, something that you would do normally, just to maybe one slip where your body thinks that you're going to be in a level ground, and it does something to your knee, and your knee is very, very, very fragile. Subs come in. Wake Forest has done this. I talked to Coach Buse about it too. I said, is there a method in your line change? He said, as I mentioned earlier, just tinkering with what he has. And he says he's satisfied where he likes how this team works in the midfield, likes how they ping it around, but he wants to quite get that, that killer instinct like that. Subachan drills it. Is it his first goal as a Demon Deacon? Flag stays down. They're going to review it, but Subachan made sure he made his first mark as a Demon Deacon, and he put a hole through the net.
You talk about immediate impact, not just that, and beautiful finish, real earned sequence for Wake Forest. And
once again, the creator, Asad Omar, I believe he was on. Here's the ball. It's pulled up. I want to see that other angle, but it looked like he was in line and then took off once the ball was released.
And that's what they're looking at. And also there was a deflection in there, so that plays into it as well. I think it's going to stand from what we've seen so far, but they're going to have a lot of angles to look at.
Subachan just coming into the match. A transfer from Louisville, a 9. He just has this hunger to score. And still looking for his first tally. It looks as if this will be his first tally, but when you see 21 on the pitch, he's sitting there right at the target, and he's a threat to the opponent anytime inside the 18. He just has a way to read the ball well.
Yeah, and you see those numbers from Louisville, and it's a very good program as well. So a guy that we talked about the immediate impact in this game, if it stands, which it should, but also an immediate impact to this program. And that's the level of the quality that the players are coming. We talked about there's not a lot of transfers, a lot of movement a lot of time with this program, but when you do get players like that, you're going to take advantage of it.
Subachan from Cooper City, Florida. Coach Buse said he has a high IQ, soccer IQ. Let's see when the ball is released. Subachan, the ball was released and he made the timing right. There was one player that wasn't in an offside position.
Yeah, it's a goal. Like I told you, that deflection also has to play into that, and I think it was in line no matter what. And it was.
Yeah, those are those when you time well that it does look. If I'm the back line of Lipscomb, I'm also saying there's no way that's a goal. And so, the one player for Wake Forest wasn't in offside position. I think that was Tate Lawrence, but he was not involved in the play, so that basically takes him out.
Exactly, that doesn't matter, and then also that's why I mentioned the deflection, because that takes everything out of it, and that's why it's a good goal. Either way, that's why I said either way it's a goal, but you take all of that out, then whether you know your old soccer rules, new soccer rules, or whatever, it's a goal.
Well, the first transfer for Wake Forest was Tate Lawrence to get on the board. He got one off a corner, and tonight it's the Louisville transfer, Ethan Subachan. You could kind of see his therapeutic goal, if you will, when he lined up, put the laces on, and made sure that one was going to put a hole through the net. Wallent. Scribano asking for Omar to come into that pocket. Under 20 minutes to go. Wake Forest with 11 shots now to 1. They dodged a bullet. Wake Forest now leading 1-0. First goal for Subachan as a Demon Deacon. But Kara has been outstanding for Lipscomb. A couple of close calls that Kara was able to keep out of the back of the net. And now here, Lipscomb, that looked iffy.
That was very, very close. I agree. My first.
Yeah, Lawrence he immediately stays away, and then you'll see Subachan, which he timed it properly, and then got the feed, the thread up the middle, and banged it home. Now for that one for Lipscomb, that was also a little iffy too. I thought Lipscomb timed the run perfectly, and they were flagged for an offside position.
No rule. I was going to say no rule in soccer has changed that much besides the offsides rules over the last 10, 20 years. I mean, but things like goal kicks and like that, have changed it too, because you used to have to boot it away. So that may be a bigger change altogether. But the offside is always evaluated. It always is looked at differently, and everybody has a different interpretation. But that's why I said whether it was old, new rules, your thoughts, that was the goal.
And the angles are tough to read
Yeah,
too. From where we are, I remember there was one game I was watching, and the first initial angle, I said, "There's no way that he was onside." They then turned to the camera on the low angle, right there in line with the attacker, and I was completely wrong. So it's just been the angle and what you can see.
And that's why video review is so good. I'm glad that they've adopted it. It takes longer, games are longer, but it matters.
Deacon's hoping for another goal that matters. Subachan! Oh, he tried to slide it. And maybe cocking back with the back leg was Cooper Flax, hoping to maybe find a way to get a touch to send it towards the direction of the cage. Still, that's the right ball, diagonal ball, and Flax a little disappointed with that, just couldn't quite get in position. He was trying to tee it up nicely, but still overall, that's a sequence you want.
Yeah, exactly. Just play a little behind if you play it, but you have to play it a little behind, so he's a little ahead of the run if you're really looking at it from an attacking perspective.
Flax with a nice bend on it. He was looking for Lorenz. And after the return, the flag is up as Flax was in an offside position. Tight lines. We had tight lines against St. John's. Tight lines tonight for both squads. Keeping everybody honest. Wake Forest's front line, even with the change, still trying to keep Lipscomb honest with how they're going to play it at the back. They are not giving them much breathing room.
And that's what those constant substitutions can do. Also, it keeps everybody fresh. And when you have the quality that Wake Forest has, it makes it that much harder on the opponent because there's not much of a reprieve when you bring people in.
Yeah, speaking of which, they brought in Vlad Wallen. He was a starter.
Yeah.
Now he's coming off the bench. He'll start sometime. It's Bassett Omar let that one slide across his body. A little out, too far out in front. Flax into the pocket. Waiting for Lorenz. Lorenz 1v1 with Kara coming out. And Lorenz trying to skip over the keeper. I don't think the keeper took too kindly to Lorenz coming that close. So Omar, nice half turn. They head to Subachan. Let the creator work. As Bassett Umar stubbed his toe there, lost it, and now here comes Lipscomb. Brian is so nasty on the ball for Lipscomb. He is going to be tough for the A side.
And then some. Now that he's got some of those injury problems that we talked about at the outset, they look like they're not too far.
Yeah.
I mean, they're far away right now. If he continues to play like this, he's going to be more than a problem in the A side.
This kid played at Maryville College, and then after a couple years there, then coming to Lipscomb. He owns the record at his high school at University Heights Academy with 108 goals. Very impressed with his ability. Walent, silky touch, lined it up. And that defense, very good, very disciplined for Lipscomb. Takes that one away, but Wake Forest will reset. Flax thinking about it. Here's Lorenz. Oh, Lorenz had it teed up, just kind of cocked back his torso And that happens sometimes. You get a little too excited, torso goes back, and that thing soars.
Yeah, and, going back to Wallen, he probably took one touch too many. I think he had the opening. He didn't expect the two defenders to collapse on him so quickly, but he had an opening because Carr had come over. It gave him a little room. Like he won't want to see that on film, but it will be pointed out on film.
Yeah, it will, definitely. So Flax coming out to take a breather. Coach Muse using all the toys in his toy box. Wake Forest, again, very good defensively, but they've had some close calls, Brian. What has Lipscomb done in that transition on the counter to kind of scare Wake Forest? I think it's the speed. With
Quality with speed, yeah. I think you're exactly right. I think it's the fact that you have that speed, but at the same time, with Brian, Levi Jones, Green, they just have players that bring quality, but also have some pace to them. And when you have backs of pace and quality, it's a dangerous combination.
Very impressive. If that will be Lipscomb's front line and their weapons, that is very dangerous. Good luck to the ASUM.
And we mentioned it's a good league, but you're right. And when I was talking to Coach Morrow, we were talking about it a little bit. He likes this group and feels like he has a group that can be dangerous.
Torbeck tried to read that. He looked like a wide receiver going for the end zone and had to come back for the passes. Wallen, oh, that's clever. Amani Thomas! And off the rebound, Tate Lawrence with his second goal as a Demon Deacon. Welcome home, Tate Lawrence. The Winston-Salem native has made it 2-0.
Just a beautiful play from Wake Forest, a well-earned goal from some high-quality soccer, and an easy goal at the end of the day, but it all comes from the execution as you look at it right here. Just really beautiful through ball. Does the right thing, and then Lawrence just does the rest.
It was clever. It seemed to be off of the backside of Luis Toledo there. That I don't know if that was planned by Wallen, but it worked. And then on top of that, how that was created by Wallen, then Amani Thomas to put the ball across the mouth of goal, and then Wake Forest has done well with just closing in. If they're going to allow you to have more than one touch inside the box, they're going to make you pay.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned that it was a perfect cross. I don't know if he maybe mishit it. He might have mishit it the way he did. But if he mishit it, he mishit it perfectly, because that's the way you want it to carry him off. It gives you a chance for a rebound, and that's where they were able to take advantage of. Because you would think he'd probably try to put a little out, but at the same time, sometimes that's taught. So you can try to put yourself in that type of position. So I thought it was beautifully done.
Well, this might be a luxury for Coach Muse, because with this line change, every time the line changes, they are out to prove something, right? So it's almost like, preseason football. They put in the third stringers there, and these are not third stringers. These are starters on this pitch right now that came in off the bench. But that edge is there, that chip on the shoulder that maybe Coach Muse has said that the narrative is, well, we just got lots of talent. We're very deep. I think that is evident, but bringing them in, it does get you that extra bite, and you got to feel for the back line, because then here's another wave of attack that you got to try to shut down. And you have Vlad Wallen coming off the bench, who is one of the fastest in the ACC. And he's maybe not quite at his fastest after his injury, but trust me, even if he's not 100%, he still can fly. And along with Amani, that's a lot of speed. Daba. Good cutout, good block by Straight. Straight, another transfer that came in. And he came in from Auburn University at Montgomery. Played for Ocean City Northeasters at the USL 2 level this summer. But he's come in right away and has been very effective for Lipscomb as a center back. Wake Forest with yet another corner. They've got 5 corners so far, and Lipscomb with none. That kind of shows you the field tilt, right? And Wake Forest Yeah, and of course the shots differential, 14-1.
That tells you everything, and I think it could be even worse, to be honest with you. I mean, to say they've had the run of play would be disingenuous. They've had everything so far in this game, minus those couple counterattacks.
And Brian, Lipscomb actually should have had a goal.
Yep.
So this should be either, 1-1 or 2-1 or 3-1. Definitely Lipscomb. They were right there for a goal. Wake Forest dodged a bullet. It's also good by their defense to get back in Mednard, but I'll show you how they really want that clean sheet. Thomas, this kid is just class act. I mean, world class. He just let him go and play. And he seems possessed on the field. But I mean, he doesn't tire. He's just up and down, up and down. And that was one of the first players Coach Muse told me about last season. I was doing my due diligence of going through the roster of last season, and it wasn't him that really popped out. Maybe because he's from Canada, that I guess they don't get a lot of write-up maybe, but so going through the recruiting class last year, Brian, I was asking about this player, and he said, well, you haven't even asked about the one player you're going to love, and it's Amani Thomas. And it was after the VCU game. I'm like, yep, he was all over the pitch. Definitely made his presence known.
And that's what you need, and that's what you want. Like we talked about the modern college soccer outside back, somebody that can be, just much like you see with the national team with Anthony Robinson or Serginho Dest. That's what you want, a guy that's going to give you everything every time he's out there, and that's exactly who Thomas is.
Freshman season, 13 starts, 20 appearances. He was our player to watch already, creating 1 goal for Wake Forest tonight. As the clock ticks down, under 10 minutes to go with Wake Forest leading 2-0 over Lipscomb. Lipscomb with a down year last year, but not sugarcoating it. This team does have the pieces to get back to atop this ASUN. Kruger has come in, trying to get back to 100%. He was one of the freshmen last year that I was asking about. Highly touted, had a couple articles written about him. And of course, Coach Muse said, yeah, no, he's great and all. You should check out the outside back, Thomas.
Well, and to be honest, when they're coming to Wake Forest, pretty much all of them have press clippings that you got to be impressed by. And I gave that analogy of like a Anthony Robinson or a Serginho Dest. He probably would say Alphonso Davies, being from Canada. So yeah. I mean, he would probably like that better.
Wake Forest has had success with a right back from Canada, Alistair Johnston.
Yeah.
He was
You'd say that
transitioned,
probably. Yeah, exactly.
transitioned into a right back.
Yeah, exactly. Fair point.
Whatever Canada's doing, they're doing it right.
Yeah.
Been over the moon impressed with any player that comes from Canada.
Particularly from that Toronto. I was lucky enough, even when I was in high school, I was in Canada for a few weeks and playing in a tournament. There's some good soccer players up there, and and it's continued to get better. And you can see it with the national team and what we see from them in the MLS and just on the college pitch as well. There's a lot of great Canadian soccer players.
Deba going shoulder to shoulder with Lorenz. It's Thomas trying to curl this one to Lorenz. Now this is headed by Subachan right into the hands of Kara, but I believe the flag was up on Subachan. Subachan, I'd say what, he is feasting now. Sitting there right as the main target, the target inside the 18. Reading that ball. I thought that was going to be intended for Lorenz. Obviously, Subachan in offside position, but still reading the bend of that ball and able to get the forehead right on the pelota. This is sometimes tough, especially in the flight of ball. So if you're Lipscomb, you've seen maybe a possible vulnerability with Wake Forest when Lipscomb quickly gets in the counter. But in only one shot to show, it's been just a few times that Lipscomb has been able to put on the counter. But Wake Forest has been able to just knock it around, keep possession, and then they lead 2-0.
And that's what makes Wake Forest so dangerous. Is you got to hold contain the entire time. They're going to hold possession. They're going to outwork you. You know, and not because you're not working hard. It's just Wake Forest. That's the way they play, always and forever. And you know, you see it even more this year. You mentioned they have the horses to do it even more this year, and that's what Lipscomb's having to contend with. And it's so hard because they're so good.
Subachan has an eye for goal, looking for Walent. Well collected, tidying up as Kennedy came over to take away any option that Vlad Walent may have had. So it ends up being a throw-in for Lipscomb off the deflection of a Wake Forest player. Nice settle by Travis Smith Jr. Was drafted in the draft, but decided to come back. And there is no more drafts anymore, which is, that kind of takes away that storyline, which I kind of liked in college soccer. But you know, now they took that away, as well as the NWSL. So as soon as you're done, you know, you have to wait for a phone call.
It's so
get
different.
An agent.
It's so different. I mean, it's what you see at all soccer levels across the world. But you're right. It Americanized it a little bit, and it also made you give you something to strive for, right?
Yeah. And it was fun. I mean, they worked. You would have watch parties for the super draft, kind of like back in the day when you did that for NBA draft. Oh, clever! And it was a clever idea as Torbeck tried to backheel that back. Torbeck went in the right pocket of space. Walent, Lonnie Thomas, Walent on top. That one spits out to Kruger. 3.5 remaining in the first half, with Wake Forest in full command, leading 2-0. Trying to preserve their third straight clean sheet and keep the streak alive here at Spry Stadium. Springing loose, Lawrence. And that one, an offside flag goes up. Again, from our angle, I thought he timed it, but what do I know?
Yeah, beautiful idea. Used the channel well, and I agree. At first, I thought it was on. It's fifth time that Wake's been issued offsides, but it's been close a lot of those times for both teams. We've had 7 offsides calls for both teams, and every time I think I could argue -1 or 2, maybe. I could say that it was really, really close.
Maybe that was not the intention on that ball. As Nagima rose to the occasion. Lawrence challenging. Takes back with possession with about 2 and some change remaining in this first half. Is there another goal in store for this Demon Deacon team? Oh, I thought he kept that one in. Thought Amani had it locked on the touchline. You know, you need that full rotation to be out of bounds, but the side judge was right there, so we'll take his eye. Torbeck scanning. With his head up, he thought about with a switch to Tate Lawrence, and the ball ushers it back to Travis Smith Jr. About 90 seconds remaining. Deacons leading 2-0. Two goals by their transfers, Subachan and Tate Lawrence, with his second goal as a Demon Deacon. After spending some years at Carolina, Winston-Salem kid is back in his hometown. He's got 2 goals in his account for 2025. Amani Thomas showing off, and that one he wants back. just couldn't kind of get his body whipped around there. Sent that one into the woods, into the forest.
Yeah, I was about to say you had about a perfect of a half if you could have, and then just shows that everybody's got to grow a little bit.
Cara, that's 5 saves on the night. And this game could be a lot more out of hand in favor of Wake Forest if it wasn't for Cara. And 2 goals that were, what, point blank. I mean, it's tough to stop.
I told you, I thought he's been good. I really do. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Cara from Louisville, Kentucky. 6'4", 195 pounds. Just clock ticking to 10 seconds remaining in the half with the Deacons. 2 in the back of the net. And blanking Lipscomb at least for the first 45 minutes, trying to preserve another clean sheet. Well, they're halfway there. As the Deeks lead 2-0, Brian, really goal, this change.
Yeah.
Just changes everything.
Completely.
And the way that they have been dangerous on the counter, you know, they could twist around some ideas, and Coach Morrow has been around to know and dig deep into his strategy board. We are off and running for the second 45. Deacons leading 2-0. Sarajan unable to turn. We welcome you back to our broadcast. I'm Ty Collins alongside Brian Hand. Friday night soccer. Bilal finally getting onto the pitch. As I looked all the weapons that Wake Forest brought in 7 players off the bench. But Bilal, who was one of their points leaders coming in, hadn't played a minute. Now he starts the second half. Tell that to Lipscomb. Now you got to deal with Bilal as fresh.
Exactly. And you mentioned tinkering as a word in the first half. That Coach me was trying to figure out exactly what's going to work, give some players some opportunities, and a lot of them took advantage of those opportunities. But at the same time, when you know you commodity that you have like Bilal, it allows you to insert it a little bit more and figure out some other things at the same time. So it's we would call those first world problems.
Right. Foul called on Wake Forest. That was 6 fouls. Lipscomb with only 2 infractions. Wake Forest will have a small break, and they'll return back to the pitch against Campbell on Tuesday. That's slated for a 6 o'clock start. And Bassett Umar not too happy about that collision. He really does take a lick and keeps ticking. I mean, sometimes you just don't know where he is. You'll run into him. He looks like he's in agony, pop right back up, and he's slipping and sliding all over the pitch.
And that's why he's wearing that band, right? He's going to give you everything all the time, and that's what those players do, and they set the example and set the tone.
Came over from Dayton a couple years ago. His Dayton Flyers are going to be in action tomorrow night against UNCG. That'll be a fun match. Bassett Umar's new team is leading, and a little bit of a too close for comfort. Bednar, he had a little difficulty reading that, but he did have it in his mitts for a second. Maybe he spilled it, but it was away from trouble. And Sarajan gets upended, and the first yellow card will go to Tony Lombardi.
Every moment's all the way around leading to that yellow card. Bednar, I know we had that counter. If we take a look at this foul right there, definitely a card. You know, and you could see he knew it. That's why he looked over. When they look over, that means they know the referee's coming. But Bednar, when he was challenged just a minute ago on that play, it was really, you know, even with that counterattack, it didn't go. He didn't have to make a save, so it was really the first time he was put into that situation the entire game, and ended up handling it well. But it was an awkward ball that he just kind of had to parry away.
Yeah, that's some of the problems you have to go through when you don't see a lot of action. You get one big shot that might get close and you used to just kind of chilling.
Yep.
You got to read it.
And did a good job at the end of the day. Like I said, at the end of the day, your job is to get it out of there, and handled it well in that regard. So we get another stoppage of play.
It's the second time Bassett Umar has gone down. There's another card given out. This time will be given out to Caleb Davis. Take a look on that left side of your screen here. And that's a professional foul, because you know how dangerous that Bassett can, take off. And Davis was in the position that he couldn't. It was not an advantage for him. So rather than allow Wake Forest to possibly put it up 3-0, get the yellow card, have them come back, you get numbers back.
Exactly, an accumulation, yellow card as much as anything. But you're right, you had to make that foul.
Flax scanning, and right into that halfway space. Kruger gets the start for the second half. Bilal with his hand up, hoping for that service. And he was immediately sandwiched between two defenders. Out comes Flax, sprays it up for White. White, diagonal ball, clipped in. Who's there? Bassett Umar! And he finally finishes it off. It's 3-0. Bassett with so many chances. This time he made sure it was going to count. 3-0, Dinks.
That was just lovely, just exquisite. Just the best way to say it. That was the beautiful game on full display. Look at it right here. Beautifully inserted ball, and he does the rest. Heads it down perfectly into the lower left corner. Exactly what you want to see if you're a head coach. And look at this again. Just perfect ball. Timed well, put down the left corner. Just fun soccer all the way around.
No, it's definitely earned. Bassett Umar has seen so many chances that he almost has to smile at the soccer gods, like, what else do I have to do to get a goal? Finally, it comes here against Lipscomb to make it 3-0. His first goal of the season, and I'm sure it won't be his last.
Yeah, you can see how much it means to him, and that's why I said that was a beautiful game in action. That's why they call it the beautiful game, is for sequences like that.
Yeah, timing it perfectly, and you put that on the sweet spot of your forehead, headed down. It will definitely give you a little jolt of adrenaline. Wake Forest, their first meeting against Lipscomb, and now leading 3-0. They've had back-to-back shutouts. They have a shutout going here against Lipscomb and the Bisons. Lipscomb, they got to go stay on the road, play Georgia State, Marquette. Then they'll go home and host Gardner-Webb. That's a tough slate.
Yeah, it really doesn't get any easier for anybody in the Southeast, like we were talking about earlier. But that's tough.
Bilal was into his bag of tricks. Didn't quite work out that time. He was calm and collected. It worked well for Bassett Umar in the first half, where he kind of stood up on a ball, looked a little too calm with the defender closing in, and it worked. As soon as the flinch happened, Bassett Umar was able to distribute the ball, and that turned into a goal. Brian, very good, shifty player for Lipscomb. Been very impressed with his talent. And those talents, these are the talents that we talked about before the game. Someone that comes from Maryville College, maybe now, or back in the day, they wouldn't be able to maybe have a chance to play at the A-Sun level. But now with the transfer portal, somewhat good things about it is these players kind of get found, whether they're playing in a Maryville College, JUCO, NAIA. Next thing you know, they're on the big stage and performing like Brian is. Brian trying to get close, puts on a blast that just skims over the bar. That was, what, about 12 yards out? He danced into the 18th, didn't he, Brian?
Yeah, he did. He did everything. In soccer, we say he did everything right but the finish. And that was beautifully done. Really good job to get around the corner and cut it inside, but just couldn't hit it with that left foot. Curled it right, but just got behind it a little bit too much.
Deke's in danger of dropping that clean sheet, which I'm sure they'll take that personally. As Bilal stepped on that one, played it back to Umar. This one's up ahead. Sarajan is on. Sarajan trying to curl. It stays just right of the bar. He was hoping for that thing to bite a little bit more, and it didn't. This is Brian dancing in for the Bisons.
So I mentioned how hard it was to get around that corner.
Nice little step over, just enough to freeze the defender and send it. Yep, he did everything right except for finishing.
Yeah, it'd be a step on you there, but you know, that's why I mentioned that, because it was beautifully done until that shot just went a little bit high.
That's all right. That is touches in the box. You look at that game film, and if I'm coaching them, I'm saying, hey, you keep doing that. You are inside the party.
No, 100%. It's just like a three-pointer shot shooter in rhythm. Tell him to keep shooting, right?
Yep. Nice touch, too. Unable to turn, but settled it nicely, played it back. As Lipscomb trying to work and build from the back up ahead. They got a big hole to see if they can overcome. Levi Jones is now down and looks like he is favoring his right ankle, but back up. $16 shots to 2 shots. Those 2 shots, though, for Lipscomb were, prime position for a goal. I mean, the XG there.
And Brian, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big factor in both of those shots.
Oh, nice curling ball. White latches on. White, Bassett Omar over the head. And Sarajan with a backspin looking for the back door and cut out. This game kind of opened up here. End to end. Lipscomb getting close to the 6-yard mark and testing Wake Forest's back line, and then Wake Forest rebuttal coming all the way back down in search of their fourth goal of the night. Nagima. Clever work by Green there. Kind of letting Nagima rise and read it off the chest. Nagima not quite aware that Jones was around his area. It's another thing that's you can do when you're shifty, short, kind of hide and sneak up, take it away off the chest. Escobar to support to Flax. Nice triangle passing with Nagima in the nice pocket. Nagima with a return. And is Escorbano now searching. Brian tried to get in between Escorbano and Travis Smith Jr. Almost came up with it. William Bryan from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Clever idea. Travis Smith did not bite on it. And I definitely give credit for Green on that attempt. See if he could try to dummy it through the legs of the defender. Bilal. And that most likely will be a card. Bilal trying to come in from the side and a little late, and that'll be a yellow card. we'll take a look. We'll see how late this was. Trying to get through the player. Lipscomb had an unfortunate situation against South Florida where their freshman laid on a tackle, ended up in a red card. And at first was given a yellow, then they looked at it. And the bang play, it was you know, one of those, like, I don't know if he meant anything by it, but you know, it was late and it was all body, so red card. It's a red card offense. It's just, you know, those red cards that you expect with malice. That's beautiful Maradona work by Brian. Nice diagonal ball for somebody to take it. And there's Flax. Lipscomb. Bison's moving their numbers up. Not waving the white flag, which is very honorable. I didn't expect anything else.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect them to. That's who they are. And, you know, they're going to keep pushing. And the same thing, you wouldn't expect anything less than a committed approach from this Wake Forest defense. They don't want to give up a goal at all. And you're seeing the effort on both ends. And, you know, when it's 3-0, it could go that other way. But both of these teams, there's a reason they're so highly thought of, you know, as programs. And also why they have two highly thought of coaches, right? They're always going to coach their kids hard.
Brian and Nagima fighting. Brian gets tumbled over. I know his days at Maryville College. It was like the day before he arrived at Maryville, he got a text from the head coach saying he'd need to cut his hair. And so William protested and actually won the argument. So he got to keep his long hair. He prides himself on that long kind of lion's mane. If you score goals like that, I think you could keep
100%
hair any way you want it.
Particularly, you get players like that, you let them a lot of times that, you know, that's why, you know, always hear about John Wooden back in the day, not letting his player do that. It's like until Bill Walton, something came along, it's like, all right, you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Does it make you comfortable?
Yeah, sure. Good.
Does it win the ball games?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, exactly.
Flax shifting into the pocket. He's had multiple touches. Flax looking for his first goal of 2025. Clever link up with his summer teammate, Bassett Umar. Plenty of soccer to be played, Brian. And you know, if you're Wake Forest leading 3-0, the way that they are knocking the ball around, connecting passes, I think you would think that they have a goal they have to meet as far as how many connected passes. I think, I wouldn't bet on it, but I would think that Coach Muse has his number he likes to hit. I asked him, I was asking about passes connected, XG, all that, the analytics. I said, well, you connected this many passes against St. John's. Well, how many of these passes were in the opponent's half? Well, I don't have that. I was like, well, why not? We don't have that kind of
because he's a soccer coach, he would say, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know that number.
Yeah. He's like, I just know what I want it to look like, right?
Right. Bassett Omar sliding that one to White. White ripping. White just off the fingertips of Cara. White has a cannon for a foot. We saw it earlier this season, and he ripped that one. Cara able to push that one away. Another corner, Brian. Let's see what Wake Forest cooks up here, leading 3-0. And Flax, see if he puts on the cape here, bending that one perfectly right in front of the mouth of goal. Nagima winding up. Flax Rajan won't turn. Here is Bassett Umar clipping that one. Can't get enough to get over the head of Brian. And Travis Smith a little late. Gonna be a foul on Wake Forest. A free kick awarded. And to Lipscomb. There is our player to watch, Levi Jones, the redshirt junior midfielder from Freetown, Sierra Leone. Very technical player. May not be the size of his brother Malachi, but has the same skill set. I mean, they very, very silky smooth on the ball and shifty. The goal he had against Mercer, where just kind of did a nice little turn back, like heel it or just kind of rolled it. That was beautiful. Yeah, he was showing off there.
Yeah, for sure.
But I loved it.
And that's what you do. I mean, when you mentioned when you got brothers to do what they do, and when I was talking to Coach Morrow, him and Malachi were inseparable. In fact, so much so that until Malachi was drafted, they'd never been apart in their lives. And he's learning. Both of them are trying to learn and live through that. And it's different, right? And he's becoming a better. Coach Morrow says he's becoming a better player and a better person through all of it. And both are. And it's really cool to see. And you're right. He's got all the skill in the world. May not have that size, but he's a great soccer player.
That's why he plays soccer.
Yeah.
The best ones are small.
Well, yeah, I mean the best ever.
No,
I mean you name the best ever, and 2 of the 3 will be 5'4", 5'5", right?
Absolutely. Well, Levi Jones came over with all his brothers and sisters to the States, adopted. Can't imagine. I mean, that is what a tremendous job for a family to adopt that many people. I mean, that kind of kids come over. And
as I told you, what a job they've done.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely. Umar, great awareness. Flax pulls it back. Bilal lets that one ride just over the bar. See, Cooper Flax showing again why he wears the captain armband. In most cases, if you're in that vicinity and you have the distance, you'd probably put a shot on, right?
Yeah.
But Flax, knowing and feeling where the runs were, he said, I'm not gonna rip one from here. Let's pull it back to Bilal. And that's just an extra pass for it.
Exactly.
So it's Cooper Flax, obviously a fan favorite. And shocking to nobody but my son's favorite. And has an autograph as cleat from Cooper Flax. And Cooper, just show you how humble, great kid he is. My son was playing in his first tournament for a pre-ECNL and was nervous. He's the smallest kid on the team. So I told Cooper and Bassett Umar sent a video message to my son saying, just go out and have fun. We're rooting for you. And my son ended up having a golazo that game. So, I mean, taking the time to do that is remarkable. Showing that and seeing my kid's face light up, that's where it's at.
Did they give you the Dad of the Year award after that, or did they, that's really cool.
Well, we kept it kind of quiet.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Flax on the ball. Maybe that was supposed to be to White. That is to White. White clips in just over a hole. White thought that one was going to nestle nicely in the back of the net. Wake Forest flexing their muscles, though, Brian, and a little backspin, hoping that one just was finesse shot by White to nestle in the back of the net. Just got a little too much arc on it. We've got an injured player. That's Caleb Davis, the center back. Redondo Beach, California. So, you talked to Coach Morrow today, Brian, and yeah, he said he was still tinkering, trying to find their identity.
Yep.
So with what you've seen in the game film leading up to tonight, and then what you've seen today against the number 17 in the country, to me, I think the pieces are there. Again, still tinkering with it, but what do you see evolving? What really stands out to you? I mean, that attack is very quick.
Yeah, I think Brian and and then getting Jones back. And we talked about it, the pedigree, Jones himself, the player, but he's also battled some injuries, so they're trying to get everybody back up to full speed. You mentioned, what happened in one of their last games. They've had a lot of different things throughout the year. They're very young, after all of those players that got drafted in some of the best teams in school history. And some of the better soccer teams in the country during those same times. They're trying to figure out what they want to do next, and you bring in different players, and that was by design, as we talked about, and I think you're seeing it evolving. And this has more to do with Wake Forest than it does with Lipscomb. Lipscomb's a very good team, but Wake Forest is a very, 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 very good team. I mean, they're elite, and I think that has to be said here, that this is a Lipscomb team that can make a lot of noise in their conference.
Take the lumps. Sarajan trying to escape, split the two defenders, and gets tripped up. This will be outside of the box. Sarajan, who was just a menace this time at Georgia Southern, scoring goal after goal, looking to get onto his first goal as a Demon Deacon, and he just knows how to go direct, straight, and even if it's between two defenders.
That's what you want to do.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you say you got to be direct. This is a Wake Forest team that likes to knock it around, but sometimes you got to go direct and force action.
So a set piece, a short corner, if you will, with Cooper Flax, Bassett Umar, Lipscomb with a three-man wall. I believe you're going to see the talents of Travis Smith Jr. there. There he is, right in the center of the six. Lots of targets on that far stick. And lurking is Bassett Umar. Off the wall. Flax may have thought it was a handball. Whistle stays silent. And the Deeks reset. Another big line change here for Wake Forest, as wave after wave, just how these goals have come for Wake Forest. There's the first one with Subachan opening his account for Wake Forest, and then Lorenz. That's just being in the right place and timing it perfectly. And finally, Bassett Umar rising to the occasion and finally finishing it, getting in the back of the net, his first goal of 2025. And here, where we stand with just under 23 minutes remaining. Wake Forest leading 3-0. But what they pride themselves on, probably more than a 3-0 lead, is keeping that clean sheet, keeping it blank. And you could definitely tell now they are working to make sure that that is preserved.
Always. And that matters. It may seem trivial to somebody else that's not involved in the game, but it matters particularly when you go into the film room and you deal with the coaches, because you want to make sure you're committed, and it gets you better, because every second you're on the field, you're trying to get better and get ready for the next game, and you're trying to earn more minutes, right? And so that committed approach is going to continue throughout the rest of this game.
Rabiot comes in his first minutes of tonight. That's hard to imagine. The guy that is, he will definitely put his fingerprints on the match once he enters the pitch. He's also very creative. You get the likes of him and Walent on the outside wings. Good step by Kruger. Taken away from Levi Jones, Torvik, and Thomas working together. The pass count has to be close to their goal, I would think, Brian.
Yeah, there's there's times where you wonder what that goal is, like you were saying, but it's got to be there. But actually, I would say it's a little lower than usual because of the way Lipscomb's been playing, but they're still doing what they want to do. So we're going to have a foul right here, though.
Yeah, quick look at the side judge. I think Wake Forest feels a little slighted with a missed call on the shovel the back, but then a call on Wake Forest. But the leading 3-0, hard to argue. "21 shots to 2. But let's see what kind of dangerous ball Lipscomb can come up with. Thought they might clip it into the box. They played the simple pass, played back. Feels like a nice mix of a summer and fall evening. It's going to cool down a little bit. Stampatori. Here's Jones. Looking for the return right in front of the 6. Back to Green. Take it away. Rabbio. Cut out by Hurt. And now Green trying to let one fly from outside of the 18. Got knocked from behind. Wondering why there wasn't a whistle there.
See a little bit of frustration from Jones right there as he was able to get the ball. But again, that's what we were talking about, what you're going to continue to see from this Wake Forest defense. They're not going to give up and give away anything easy if we get a foul right here on Lipscomb.
This will set up Wake Forest with the set piece. They will hurry it up, play quickly. Nagima threading it right to Torbic. I think Torbic was actually surprised that got there. Oh, clever. Subachan for a brace. Just skittered right of the post. There's the IQ showing out.
A really nice ball. Beautiful run from Subachan. Had the angle. I think he didn't realize how much room he really had, though. Could have gone a little bit more, and that would have opened up perfectly.
Line change now for Wake Forest. They're going to put in a goalie. Looks like Mednard, he could take the night off now. And it'll be Owen Barnett, I believe. Perez back in. Jojo DeVille. Owen Barnett and Jono Mednard, they were basically neck and neck for the job at keeper. And, you know, Jonah just edged him out, but Barnett, he's an athlete. This kid played striker, and but comes over as a keeper. So very well read when it comes to reading the attacks. And flag up on offside. Very tight line. Very tight line.
we've seen that all night, though. And going back to your Barnett point, there's a lot of, believe it or not, I don't know how much the world knows this, but there's a lot of goalkeepers that were former strikers. I mean, you could look at Brad Guzan, for Atlanta United, and obviously the national team for a long time. Very, very good striker. Then went to South Carolina, was a goalkeeper, and then, obviously the rest is history, one of the best goalkeepers in American history. But, that happens quite a bit for the reason you just said, is one, size, right? And then two, athleticism, and then they may not be an elite striker, but they have the ability to be an elite goalkeeper.
Brian down again. Got the start. Getting back to 100%. Hopefully he'll be okay. He's a very fun player to watch.
Yeah. It's been fun. Yeah, I mean, that's the right word, too, for that reason. It's just, all over the place. He's so tenacious. Every time he gets the ball, it's going to come at you and make you make a decision, and that's exactly what you want if you're the coach. If you're the opposing coach, that's not what you want, because it's a player that can cause problems, and he asks a lot of questions, to use some soccer terminology.
Some new personnel brought on by both clubs. Raphael Constant touched the pitch for the first time. Constant, a freshman from Belgium. Final in the Clemson-Pittsburgh game, 3-2 Tigers over the Panthers.
Just always find a way, don't they? It just seems like it. And that's full credit to the program, don't get me wrong. They have an unbelievable program, but it just seems like every time you think it's close. Speaking of close, good opportunity here, just goes wide right.
Just rolled it to the right. You can see the back line upset, but they even had a look at that. What a clever turn. And just rolling it. That was Raphael Constant. That was his first touch of the ball game.
Yeah, another immediate impact. We have a first corner kick of the night, I believe, for Lipscomb.
Nathan Richmond got the goal for Clemson. Give them the win. He was assisted by Magnuson, as well as Ransford Gian. Of course, he was going to be involved. Well played corner, driven well, and out of bounds.
He had 2 goals tonight to Gian, along with that.
Yes, he did. He had 2 goals. Scored the 22nd minute and then scored in the 37th.
Trying to go back-to-back on the way it featured at halftime, I guess.
Just keep stacking.
Yeah, good player. Really fun to watch.
Stacking the stats, yes.
Another Lipscomb corner kick. Back-to-back, speaking of.
This time from the other flag. Under 15 minutes to play. Wake Forest leading comfortably now 3-0, but Lipscomb fighting all the way to the end. Some new personnel coming in. Looks like Superchan's going to go out. Chandler Young in. That's a good ball. It immediately dipped right there in front of the 6. Wake Forest able to clear it, and now they're off and running. Amani Thomas with his Jets on, hurdling. Trying to ad-lib too. That was too much momentum, and there's a shoulder-to-shoulder, and that will be a foul called on Wake Forest. And a Lipscomb player down. The referee holding a card too. I wonder if that's going to go. A late challenge, shoulder to shoulder over there. That's Iceland. Pexinar is the head official tonight. And card go to straight. I thought the card was going to go to a Wake Forest player. Take a look at this. Often running. I think Amani Thomas underestimated his wheels. Hurdling and then still in full speed trying to spin on it. That's very difficult.
You don't see that a lot of times, going back to it, where you get the card but the foul's not called.
Right.
It's a little interesting in that regard, and I don't mean that against the referee. It's just interesting that I agree that was a card he played advantage, but that's one that you could bring back too, because they didn't go too much for it. He also kind of didn't give. You could have argued a foul in the box right there for a PK as well. So, and then obviously that was a foul at the end as well. But
that's a good
there was a lot that went on in that sequence. I was glad that we put that at full speed, because that full speed kind of showed everything that went on.
Coach Muse flexing his muscles again, bringing in more personnel from the bench. There's Will Jackson along with Curry, who is a freshman. Jackson was a freshman last season. Tight spaces. Lipscomb working well in those tight spaces. This kid from Belgium. He's had 2 good looks. He didn't let that one fly. So another interesting weapon for Lipscomb if you look towards the future. Constant. I mean, the immediate impact coming on from the bench. And he's had some good looks. Looks to play the part right.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely have a lot of pieces, a lot of good things. You know, suddenly they're starting to pick up some hamstrings and some. When I was talking to Coach Moore, he said they got rained out last night for their practice, didn't get to get in what they would like to. We're able to get in a walkthrough earlier today, but you know that could factor into it. You know, add in travel as well. It's a life of a college soccer player is hard when you add that stuff into it. When you get a foul right here.
The bop. Chandler Young trying to flick that one on the outside of his foot to Wallet. Unfortunately, couldn't link up. As Lipscomb works from the back, left channel over the top, using the speed up against Curry. Curry from Courtice, Ontario, 6'3". He's your prototype center back. But Young. Will Jackson hugging the byline, still stays in, and now it goes out of bounds. Lipscomb arguing he might have a good protest that was last touch by Wake Forest, but it'll be a goal kick. Curry, number 6, just came in, the center back, part of this freshman class, ranked 10th in the country. Credit to assistant coach Dane Brenner, who's immediately out and working nonstop to bring in talent after talent class after talent class.
Never ends.
I told him yesterday, I think it's unfair. I think you have the way you just go out there and just put together a class is remarkable, but
all they have to do is look at these game notes and see those numbers.
Right,
you know, is it 157 wins or 154, whatever it is, best in college soccer? That's pretty good on the recruiting trail,
absolutely.
Right? And that's why they'll continue to stack like that. Good turn.
Perez. Wallet on the flag, thought about coming up. A shot that is off the chest. And they're going to bring it back with another tight line. And he was about to pull up the flag.
Another example of one was offside, but it wasn't the player that came through for the shot. as we continue to have another hamstring problem for Lipscomb. And I'm not saying they're not in shape. I'm just saying a lot of that could factor in the humidity that they're coming into this area. That's why I wanted to bring all that up. They've dealt with a lot over the last 2 hours. And Coach Morrow said they've had more than a few of those already this year. And so that's factored into the youngness of the team as well. So, and it's only going to make them better throughout the year, and all those little things. And we're talking, that's why we mentioned earlier that they're going to continue to keep playing on both sides, because those little minutes, those little processes, this 2 minutes of action makes you better. You get a lot in practice, but there's nothing like game action.
Yeah, Coach Muse told me one year, it takes at least about 5 matches for you to really kind of show who you are.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a young team too. You might even need one more game. And again, then you go to how Wake Forest was last year. There was question marks galore all the way up until the last match against NC State, where I remember Coach Muse was, saying sometimes you can't get that final ball in. He said it's a very talented team. Unfortunately, here this is where we are. Our record is what we are. But he wasn't giving up on the team at all. And then all it took was a 1-0 victory over NC State. They make a run. They go all the way to the Elite Eight. If they go through the ACC tournament, you have somebody like Escribano that was hurt and out for the year, along with Vlad Wallent, but locked in, constantly cheering on their teammates from the sideline. And at training, they were, basically sat up there with a chair and their leg up, right, and some ice, but they just had to be at training. They wanted to, if they couldn't be there physically, make sure that their voices were heard. And that says a lot, too, because that type of leadership, when they can't get on the field and show it, but using their voice and just sticking with their team, believing in their team, that really does work well for the chemistry. And that will cause a run.
Yeah, it changes everything. If you have that kind of culture, that's when you can make Elite Eight runs or even further, right? And, I can promise you that, I was one of the ones thinking earlier in the year last year, this is as good of a Wake Forest team. You started watching them getting better each and every game. By the end of the year, I can promise you nobody in college soccer wanted to play them, because they knew how talented they were and how committed they are as a group. And we've talked about it numerous times tonight. You're seeing that again.
Yeah.
With maybe even more talent. And I think this is a team that if they can figure it out, we could be talking about them a lot further down the line this year.
Well, and this is always the question every time before the first match. And it's usually right in one of the exhibition matches that I'll go and write notes to get ready for the season. And its question is, how is Wake going to be this season? Right? And that's always a question. And I think that, deep down the fans have been spoiled by how good they've been. And I can honestly say every year there's a chance.
Yep.
It's because the personnel they bring in, the culture that they have at Wake Forest, you line that up with the perfect team of coaches, with Coach Muse, along with Dane Brenner, Steve Armas, Adatewo. I mean, that's an elite
coaching staff. It's elite coaching staff.
Look at DeBot. He's flexing his muscles into a wide open space for Will Jackson. Torbeck trying to get enough room to rip one. Quickly on the counter. Love the fight by Lipscomb. Taken away. A little no-look pass by Davia. Over to Rabiot. Slowly arriving is Wallent, trying to time it is Rabiot. Skating around the 18. Perez. Wallent, overlap run by Jackson. Wallent curls it. Oh, man, how did that not get in? Wallent, an absolute gem. that just didn't go in.
He measured that perfectly. You could see him looking at it, trying to see if he had room to hit it. Hit it perfectly, and somehow, as you noted, off the board, look at it right here. You can see him measuring it. Hits it. I mean, that may have gone in. They're looking at it. I think it may have gone in.
I'd like to see one more look at it, slow it down, but it did look once it hit off the bar, it hit the ground right in front of the goal line. But everything was right. small margins.
Yeah, it was very small margins. That's why as I watched it, I was like, that may have gone in.
Yeah.
They're looking at it right now for a reason, but just more impressively, like I use, again, I keep using soccer terminology, but he measured it perfectly and hit it. And let's look at it again. It's going to be close. I don't know if the whole ball got over. It may be on the line.
Oh, that is a good job by our crew. That
always. They do such a good
course,
job.
This is A+ team. Speaking of Deektown being spoiled, I get spoiled with our crew here. By all the camera angles and the replays and just the quality of everything they put on the production is A+. Meanwhile, we wait to see what they see under the tent.
Yeah, that's that second look, as we talked about, that line, I didn't think the whole ball went over. When I saw it at first, I thought, but then you could see the chalk kind of. Obviously, there's not stuff there.
Oh, another great look.
Man, they're going to make it too easy on them. Yeah, that chalk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's perfect. Great angle.
My. Yeah. Well done, crew. Another great job with our crew again. Lawrence is in, Torbeck out. And Wake Forest leading 3-0. Under 9, here is a corner. Could they give it a fourth goal? And right into the hands of Kara. Wake Forest relentless. They are not going to ease up. Getting around Will Jackson. And the support by Daba. You know, it's 3-0. You won't see that. You probably won't talk about it. But Daba, after Jackson kind of got beat there, the outside, Daba following and being a teammate, following it up. That right there, those are the small things that make you an elite team.
And gets the players more playing time. Those are the little efforts, because the coaches know what they have, but those little efforts in a game lead to more minutes throughout the year. And listen, you're going to need everybody in a long ACC season. It's a gauntlet. So I think the games like these are so valuable.
It's key to support, not only when you're on attack, but also when you're defending.
Oh. Have to in today's game. You don't even have an option anymore. You used to. You don't anymore.
Woo! Hello, Meg. And off and running goes Rabio.
Foul. Wake Forest free kick right around the half line. Wake Forest has been pretty clean tonight for the most part. It's actually been a pretty clean game in that regard. I know we've had a couple cards, but it's been a fairly clean game.
It has. Speaking of clean, looks like Subachan has put on a clean New Jersey, wearing 29, I believe. 28, my apologies. Thank you for our eyes in the booth. Jason Christie, our graphics extraordinaire, the best in the biz. Back line all the way up. Curry along with Sullivan. Rabiot, let's see how creative he gets here. Step over and awaits the double team and still wants to put on his dancing shoes.
You can see him setting that up too.
And Jackson pulling it back for Wake Forest to reset. Here's Lawrence, the Winston-Salem kid. Deflected, Lawrence slotted in. He just can't stop. Once it's popped, it won't stop. Lawrence, another goal. He's got 3 on the year.
Look at this one too. Determination will be if it hits off Subachan or not, or if he was involved anyway. Let's look at it right here. Hit off him, they may disallow this, but I don't know. It's so close.
Yeah, so the defender knocking it off, a clearance off of an attacker, and then the ball.
But it doesn't get it to him without the.
Right. So yeah, there's a.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, that they may see it that way, that it doesn't put him in that position without it hitting off of him. And if they determine he was in offside position, then it'll be no goal. Really kind of as simple as that. If they feel like he was, onside when it hit him, and they could also say he had a handball too, maybe. So there's many things at play right here.
And it's a great look at this.
Yeah.
This ball squirts out.
I mean, he's offside in the first place.
Yeah. But now it's touched.
Now it's touched awkwardly, probably off his arm too. But was it? I mean, there's many things that, like I said, these rules keep evolving, and it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, the rule about the defender touching it, right, and how that resets the picture.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. And then also, like, I'm just mentioning this handball right here. You know, is that an inverted handball? Is there? I mean, there's.
Is his hand in the normal spot?
It's in the normal spot. There's many because we have video review in the game at all levels. Yeah,
knowing the the kind of the expression on the Coach Muse, it looks like they're going to take it away. And maybe we'll get a better explanation. What looked to be goal number 4 is going to be wiped off and offside. So it was not a deliberate action, so therefore it was an offside call, and that's why that goal was not allowed.
And that was a fancy way of what I was trying to explain in other ways, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But that's why I mentioned the many machinations of what that could look like depending on how they determine it.
Well, this is a cause for concern for Lipscomb. Got a player down. Appia. Wake Forest leading was 4-0. That was taken away. And Lawrence thought he was going to have goal number 3 on his account for 2025. But it goes back to 2. Still under 5.5 to go. Wake Forest trying to lock it up for another clean sheet. Still taking a look at the derby. It's not too far from here. Actually broadcasted on the ACC network. Still looks like that is locked up at 0-0.
2 really good teams. I've been really impressed by NC State so far this year.
Yeah, they have definitely come out of the gate ripping and roaring. I mean, what they did last year was impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by And the coach coming from New Hampshire, what he did at New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I think everybody in the ACC, as soon as they found out that he was coming to NC State,
They knew.
They all went, oh. And they thought, well, maybe they have some growing pains. And it didn't last long.
It lasted half the season last year, basically. And he's even got better players in this year. And, you know, it's going to be, I mean, the Big Four in general, and in men's soccer, really in all sports, but like, let's just say men's soccer, it's going to be good for a long time to come. So
The Clemson escapes. They win 3-2 over Pitt. A lot of teams opening up in ACC play. Wake Forest will have their ACC opener on the road next Friday against the Tar Heels. Those matches are always heated. Jackson, Lawrence kind of hiding behind the referee and then making his run to show inside the pocket there. And then Jackson didn't quite see him. Curry playing it back to keeper, and the new keeper tonight, Owen Barnett. Good settle, Rabio. Not shaking at all. Right there in the middle with defenders and able to usher it down. Subachan off and running. Try to make that one extra touch to make it a little bit better angle for him, and then the defense coming back to take it away.
yeah, really good help defense right there. Good job by Baxter Hurt to understand the positioning. You know, like, you know, it's such an art form we talked about from the center back. He knew he could hang right there, and he was gonna, if he cut in, he could cut him off, and did a good job.
Three minutes and some change remaining. 3 minutes away from locking up another clean sheet. Nice turn. Rabio, flag stays down. That one goes in the back of the net. The flag stays down. It'll count. It's 4-0. Rabio gets his first goal of 2025.
Thought he cut off his own angle, but really nice job of making sure he collected himself and calmly put it in to the back of the net. That was really well done.
I think he wanted more of a degree of difficulty here because, yeah, you're right. You thought that angle was going to close. I think Rabio said, well, let me toy with it a little bit more, make it a little bit more exciting.
And that's why I said, when I say collecting him, you look at it right here. Takes it a little bit too far outside, looks up, makes sure that he hits it perfectly. That's a lot harder than he made it look.
Looks like he's got Velcro on those boots, man. The ball just nestles nicely. He can do as he wishes. Rabio now with his first goal of 2025. Very creative and also a very fun player to watch, and a remarkable individual off the field.
We talked about the goals that are going to come for Wake Forest. How many goals they have entering tonight? 4, right? Guess what? They got 4 today. So they've doubled it up. This is the quality they have. Things like this are possible, and I think that's why you see Coach Muse and the coaching staff so excited after that goal. They know that maybe this leads to even bigger things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, like how the NC State game was against Wofford.
Yep,
You know, that was
exactly.
tight, and all of a sudden 3 goals in 5 minutes. And
yeah,
it's just
that's
like,
what it was, yeah. And it opens up the floodgates.
Yep.
And, you know, you need those types of games to show yourself when you get into those tough games. Like, you know, we talked about Clemson-Pittsburgh, 3-2, 0-0 in the derby over at North Carolina between North Carolina and NC State. You know, you're going to have every faction of the games in the ACC,
Yep.
so you have to get ready.
And sometimes you need a game like this because confidence is scary,
Yep.
right? Sometimes you go in and the players are maybe just a little too tight, scared to make mistakes.
Yep.
And every coach will tell you, they want you out there not scared to make mistakes.
Yep.
They want you to play freely. And once you kind of lighten up a little bit, don't have it so tight wound up, you can play, you know, smoothly and confidently, and goals start pouring in.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why sports is like nothing else in preparing you for life and for the real world. And because you go into the job and the same thing, if you can collect yourself, I mean, you become a better worker. So I think that you see that daily in sports, whether it's at the lower level or even at the highest levels, like you college soccer and professional soccer. And that's a perfect analogy.
Under a minute to go, and Wake Forest still thirsting for another goal. Two wins and a tie on the season. Third win 18 seconds away. DeBot wrestling that one away, and some extra touches. Also a player down for Lipscomb. It looks like that's Diego Ramirez who's down, clutching onto his knee. So, well, the Deacs dominant from the beginning, dominant to the end. A 4-0 win for the home side.